I was tagged in the following food query about eggs.
Is it not ridiculous to anyone else how much you have to do to eat healthy in this country?
For the most part, a healthy, happy diet is hampered by our ease of access to simple carbohydrates that turn into sugar once it gets into your body. So if you're looking for eggs, you are 99% of the way there, no matter what the label says.
First of all, I already buy pasture-raised eggs. It doesn't matter if the eggs say antibiotic-free or free-range or organic. What you really want to look for the most part, is pasture-raised eggs.
Okay, so the other day I was the good news fairy, but unfortunately today I'm gonna have to be the bad news fairy. When people see pasture raised on their box of eggs in the grocery store, what they're hoping for is something that looks like the way I raised them on pasture when I had large numbers here at this farm. Or they're perhaps hoping for a slightly larger version of my homestead flock here, which is out in the woods and outdoors all the time. In any case, what the customer is obviously hoping for is that they are chickens that spend most of their time outside and aren't cooped up in a barn most of the time. Now, what's important is that until recently, there was no federal standard for what pasture-raised actually means, so it basically meant whatever the hell people wanted it to mean. However, the Certified Humane Standard came up with a very specific criteria, which is that you had to have 2.5 acres per 1,000 birds, which comes out to 108 square feet per hen, which is why on every one of those boxes, whether it's Vital Farms, whether it's Central Market, like you see here, it's going to say that each hen has access to 108 square feet of pasture. The issue is that the mechanics of what that looks like on the ground starts to get a little when you start getting to organizations that are at a scale where they can sell to a grocery store. So if you take like Vital Farms, which is the one that everybody knows, they're in the grocery store, they're pasture raised, they've got the black egg cartons, they're kind of cool looking. They, with the last numbers I saw, had something like 2.5 million hens being operated by, I think, 200 producers. That's going to be an average of 12,500 hens per operation, which is small by American standards. It's small even by European standards. The issue, however, is that it's still a fairly large number of hens when you're talking about trying to create a system like this at scale. Most of Vital Farms producers are going to be farmers that got screwed over or otherwise decided to get away from conventional producers. So they might have had like a conventional hen house, got effed over by Cal Maine and went to Vital Farms because they're going to get paid a little bit more, and that's kind of the bottom line for them. But the thing is, most of these guys are going to be conventional outfits that have converted. So they're going to have like the big hen house that they used to raise regular birds in. Part of Vital Farms' transparency is that they have pre-recorded videos at each of their farms. So if you go buy a carton of their eggs, it'll supposedly tell you which farm it came from. It's got a barcode on it. And then you can go to their website and enter that barcode, and you can see a video, which you might be convinced to believe is live, but it's not. It's pre-recorded, that shows what it looked like. Now, the issue is, what you're going to see when you go to those videos is usually something that looks like this. Like, you're going to see a few dozen chickens in the outdoors, which is weird. Because again, if you have 12,000 chickens on a property that are spending most of their time outdoors, you're going to see a lot more than this. But you don't. And what you do see in a couple of the videos is, if you look really carefully, like off in the distance of the video, like you're going to see something kind of like you see here. But off in the distance, usually like at the top of a hill, you're going to see a big ass barn. And this is critical. If the chickens are being fed there, I guarantee you that's where they're spending most of their time. In my experience, when you have more than about 2,000 birds in one place, if you're feeding them in a relatively confined area, they're going to spend most of their time in that area because they're worried about their own access to food. So what I'm saying is that the image that you probably have in your head about what pasture-raised chickens looks like, where they're actually outside and hunting and doing chicken-like behavior most of the time and not sitting in a barn all day, the mechanics of that usually falls apart right around like 2,000 to 3,000 chickens. Beyond that, when you're Vital Farms and you're a publicly traded corporation whose largest shareholder is BlackRock, you're going to be operating at a scale where that's not really happening. You're more doing free range with extra steps, which, to be sure, is better than free range, but probably isn't what you actually think it is.
But even with that, now they're selling organic soy-free pasture-raised eggs.
That's going to be eggs from hens that are provided a feed that uses something other than soybean meal for its protein source, more likely to be peas, split peas, field peas, or maybe some kind of bone meal or fish meal.
Organic pasture-raised eggs.
That's going to be chickens fed with your standard corn, soybean-based feed, except the corn and soybeans are organic.
Organic heirloom eggs.
Heirloom eggs are going to come from chickens that are not hybrid commercial breeds like these red sex links that we have here. They're going to be more like the black and white barred rock that is sitting over there, or even Lucky Butt here, who is a white leghorn, which is where most commercial white eggs come from, but nevertheless, she is an heirloom and non-hybridized breed. What does it mean for your health or for animal welfare? Not a damn thing. It's just going to cost more.
What does this all mean? Does it even matter? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?
What does it all mean? First thing to happen was that consumers started to become more educated about what actually goes into the production of their food, whether it's animal welfare standards, what they're fed, how they're housed, etc. Corporations have begun to adjust and to adapt to meet the letter, if not the spirit, of those changing consumer expectations without affecting their bottom lines, and in some cases by improving their bottom lines. And they're filling the space left by the small farming movement's failure to thrive. And I know you didn't just jump up on my leg. And the inability of small farms to find a business model that will allow them to expand their reach without compromising their values. Does it matter? Yes, it does. But I have a kind of contrarian viewpoint that it's more up to producers than it is to consumers to do the right thing. In this case, I think it's more up to small farmers to figure out how to unsmall themselves in a way that is ethical and where they retain their values. That's basically what my life's work is to figure out a way to do that. When it comes to the producer versus the consumer side of the equation, the producers usually have more money, more privilege, more access, and more ability to change things than an individual consumer. So me, myself, personally, I think people like me should try harder to meet consumers where they're at with a product that actually does what they think it does. So, wish me and my partners luck. And join me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live so we can talk about it.